Hi everyone, welcome today. It's my pleasure to be with you today with this quick and very informative session about Azure Cloud Services. First of all, my name is Mahmoud Miari. Today, inshallah, it will be a quick introduction and we will go for some features about Azure Cloud Services and we will talk about why Azure services and why we need it. So before going there, so allow me to introduce myself to you. My name is Mahmoud Miari. I'm working more than 17 years as head of operations, and since long time I'm responsible for also doing coaching, professional training for engineers in networking and infrastructure domain, as well as cybersecurity, defensive and offensive, and the cloud, and many other areas and topics in ICT environment. These are my personal website and YouTube channel for some teaching and training things. So what will be accomplished in this session? We'll take a basic refresh on cloud computing. So what is cloud computing and the refreshment for that. After that, we'll go for understanding Azure Cloud Services option that they offer to us and what is Azure implementation that we be having. So we will start with, as we said, for introduction in cloud computing, Azure Compute Services, Azure Network Services, and Azure Storage Services. Well, before starting, let's introduce cloud services and the cloud solutions in general, and how the era came from and this evolution to us. Basically, the environment was some PCs or network devices connected to each other using any operating system. And after that, with the exist of smartphones and social medias and all this stuff, then the environment became big and big. And here we will be needing for some services that will be like very flexible and does not have any limitation for us, and as well as flexible storage for the different and varieties of data type that we have. After that, the IoT came to us. It's Internet of Things, that the home automation and building automations that you can control your entities from AC, from electricity, with the CCTV cameras, access controls, and all these stuff to be automated to each other. So the controller here was also based on the cloud. So we can found that the cloud is here and there too much, and especially with the traditional IT infrastructure that we have a server room or data center, and it's full of equipments, servers, and these servers will be having a problem as a maintenance for that, and will be having limitation in storage and many, many other things. So in the traditional IT, what we're having, it's a rack is full of servers, and this server has operating system on the top of it and the application that we want to use. For example, we might have or we should have in any environment like server, it's for Active Directory, that's managing our users in the organization and giving permissions where to go and what is to do in the infrastructure. We will be having something called the DNS server. We'll be having something else called file server, DHCP server, application server, database servers, and then add too much server as per your business needs. So what was the problem with that is always the process for the organization that we are working with. For example, I'll give an example for one single server that I have. Then I figured out that the storage is out of there. There is no any storage for that. Then what I need is I want to extend this storage. So normally what I will do is I will send a request to my manager and my manager will see the need for that. After that, he will approve it. He will send it to the procurement department. Procurement department will wait for three different quotations and to see the best price for that. And after that, he will start arguing with the supplier, and maybe the hard disk is available in the market or not available. So for one single hard disk, maybe I will go for a process with 1 or 10 days to have it, and we will not have we will not have this much time to wait. This is a very simple problem of the traditional IT that we have. Moreover, is for the scalability that I have, then I might need a new application for the server, then I need a full server for that and go for the process. Imagine with us that one hard disk, it will take us so long. So what about the server? After that, when the evolution came, the concept of virtualization invented, and it helped us a lot. So the virtualization, how it's working with the bare metal server. Then with one physical server, I can divide it to sub-server. So I will buy, for example, professional server with high capacity. And after that, I can create a virtual server inside it, like Active Directory server, DNS server, whatever I have. In case, and when it comes to redundancy, of course, I need another blade server to assure the redundancy for that. Great. Also, it has a limitation for that. What is the limitation? Again, the virtualization is taking resources from my physical server. So what about if I get ran out of this specification for the physical server? So again, I need to go for the procurement processing and applying that from my organization and top higher management and all these sad process that I have. Then cloud computing came. Cloud computing came in a very strong and heavy concept that solved the majority of many problems. First of all, he solved the problem of the flexibility. Flexibility that I need to maximize, and scalability. I do scalability in my infrastructure. So cloud computing, arrange that in a second or in simple like half minutes for that. Great. What else? Also, in the traditional IT server room or data centers, what I need to care is the power that I need to provide. So the electricity power should be there all over the time. So I need also generator, backup generator, or any electrical tool that I have. Also, I need a cooling system to make all my servers. Now I'm talking in a big scale, like an organization or campus organization that has a data center, good data center with number of servers. Also, cooling system, as we said. Also, we need to care about the firefighting system that's specialized for the server, and normally it's called FM200. So I need to know, or I need to take care of many options and features there. Then, all this required too much money to invest, and this money has to be paid upfront. And after that, it needs for different expertise. For example, for the servers, I need engineer for the server. For the switching and routing and all this stuff, I need an engineer for that. And for security, for the firewall and to protect from my organization from attack, also I need a security engineer. Okay, and I need like some level of engineering for backup if someone got for sick leave and all this stuff. So you can see that the capital expenses is too much. So how cloud solved me all this? Yes, I don't care about the server, where the server located is. I can provide you whatever you want, just in simple clicks. You can pay as you need. You can pay as you use, and this is very good concept for that. Because in some areas, I don't know like how many capacity I need or how many traffic or bandwidth I need. So what can I do in, or all of us, not especially me, in the ITs, then I can put risk factor and I have to bring extra server specifications or server specification for that. I might use these specification or I might not use it. So with the cloud, the concept is different. Pay as you use. Then, for example, I need 1 terabyte hard disk, and I need 8 GB RAM, and I need this much of processor. Great. He will tell me that, okay, this is what you require. Then I'm using this. I pay. If I found that the hard disk is little, then I need to maximize it for another 500 GB or 200 GB or 1 tera. It depends to me. Just I will add it with simple seconds. It will be implemented, and after that, the bill it will come for me after end of the month, as per my usage for that. So it's really amazing. Yes, it's really amazing, and it's really vary and make a difference in that. Moreover, your infrastructure is available all the time. So again, what's cloud computing? Now, after this explanation, it's a model of enabling ubiquitous of convenient on-demand network access. Why it's on demand? Because my servers and applications are in the cloud, so I can read them anytime and whenever I'm staying there. So it's an on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources such as networks. It will provide me virtual networks, servers, storage, application, and services that can be rapidly provisioned. And rapidly provisioned, yes, because whatever I need, I can immediately just take an action to add it to my infrastructure, and that's it. No need time, no need buying time, no need approval, nothing. And release with minimal management effort or services provider interaction. It's great for that. Then, what are the characteristics of cloud computing? It's a broad network access. Doesn't matter where the location for me. I have a 24/7 access for my servers and my infrastructure all in all. Great. Fast elastic scaling, yes. You can modify, you can increase, enhance your infrastructure easily at any time and whenever you want. On-demand self-services, when I need a service or I need to upgrade or downgrade, even downgrade it there, anytime, yes, I can do it immediately. Resource pooling, it's like the server that you are sharing is not only for you. This is a huge server or a cluster of servers that you might share with it and another customer share with it. But again, you will have the same specs what you asked. Meter services, pay as you go, no rental, financial control over business. Then they have an option, and we will talk about the billing system for Azure. Okay, but this is the concept of the cloud computing for all the service providers. Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, Huawei Cloud, whatever. These are the concepts fixed for everyone. So, what's the cloud computing development model? We have three main types: private cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud. Private cloud has another name, it's on-premise. On-premise, it means your traditional IT. You have a big data center, and you have your own cloud for that. You have your own servers, you have your own clusters, and you're serving yourself and your subsidiaries as well. So this is called private cloud or on-premise. Public cloud, Microsoft Azure, of course. You can take services from cloud computing companies and rent servers and or let's say rent services right now. So hybrid cloud is mixed between both. For example, you don't need to get rid of your data center because your data center, you have it already and it's stable and up and running and you invested millions of dirham for that. So, but you need, for example, a second backup option if you have like a storage backup here locally. And for example, you need a secondary backup option, then you can use the cloud. And you can do a connectivity between the private and the public. The minute you do this connectivity and use services privately from the cloud, so it's called hybrid. So what is the cloud computing services model? Of course, the traditional IT, you as an engineer are responsible for all the platform paths that it has, from the network, from the storage, from the server, virtualization, even responsible for operating system installation, either Windows, Linux, whatever, and responsible also for middleware if you are having like a database in the middle, or you have some coding programming in the middle, runtime environment, and especially data application. You will be needing all these expertise to manage and handle your data center or IT infrastructure. With the cloud, they have main three categories. It's called IaaS, it's infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service, I will get rid of my infrastructure. So what is my infrastructure? Is network, storage, server, virtualization, all these called network infrastructure. So this I'm going to rent it from Azure Cloud. And what they provide for me? Only networking, only infrastructure. But what about the operating system on it? No. This is you as an engineer, it's your turn. And after that, they have something called PaaS, platform as a service. I will take it from cloud for the infrastructure, as well as the operating system, middleware, and runtime environment. These could be like for if I need to use some computational programming statistics application, then I need this part of that. And the most using thing is called SaaS, software as a service. Cloud provider like Azure will give you all these services and he will be managing for that. So let's take about one by one. So infrastructure as a service here. So what is the infrastructure? It's the storage, even your storage, whether the hard disk that you have and how the type of storage, it is NAS, SAN, depends on that. Networking from the internet, from the router, from the gateway that you have, servers, memory, motherboard, CPU, GPU, even for that, and virtualization, the VM machine that you have, all this in the infrastructure, the Azure cloud provider will be responsible for providing these for you. You don't care about the power supply, you don't care about the cooling, you don't care about where the location exactly of this infrastructure. You don't care, to be honest. You care about accessibility for this. So what about the cooling system? What about the FM? You don't care about it. He's managing that. And we will explain how he's managing that. So what about the platform and software? No, this is your turn. So here if you can find in the infrastructure as a service, the cloud provider manages infrastructure. Infrastructure, networking, hardware, and virtualization. You as system engineer manage platform, software. Great. Use cases for that: migration of workloads, test and development, storage, backup, and disaster recovery. When it comes to platform as a service, then infrastructure and the platform will be managed and provided by Azure Cloud. And you as engineers care about the software. So here, the use cases for that is development framework, for example, analytics and business intelligence, huge computing for that. After that, software as a service. Software as a service, the cloud computing will be handling the three parts of the data center: infrastructure, platform, and software, or as well as the software. So like this, you as engineer, you manage nothing. You just use it. Like what, for example, like Skype, Netflix, OneDrive, like Zoom meeting, any service, like if you have also, there is an ERP system that it's installed in the cloud and you just pay for subscription for that to use it for your infrastructure or for your company. Then the ERP system is not installed in your company. The ERP system is installed with the provider that he gave you the service. It's on a cloud. You don't care about the servers. You don't care about the backup of the software or backup of the database. You don't care about the operating system installed on the server. You don't care about the support and management for that. You are the user only for this ERP system. So this is called software as a service. Great. What is the characteristic of Azure cloud computing? It's massive scale. Cloud computing service is in large scale as its centralized IT resources supply. This makes cloud computing different from conventional IT. Homogeneity, it can also be understood as standardization, which is similar to power utilization, voltage and socket interfaces, cooling system, firefighting and all this stuff. So this will be like for different this, Azure will be provided for you. Of course, the virtualization is separation of software and hardware with the proper utilization of the resources, which can assure that the isolation of the server that you have, then no any another partner or any another partner for Azure, of course, can access your VMs and all this stuff. Elastic computing, IT resources can be elastically provided. Then I can maximize, minimize, I can do whatever I want. So it's very elastic, very flexible for that. Low cost software is provided the market competition and requirement. Cloud computing with low skills and financial requirements makes IT easy to use. In long term, and especially for big organization, you will find, yes, cloud services is much cheaper than the traditional IT because you are paying, I'm talking about big data center, of course. You are paying in hundreds of thousand dirhams or million dirhams. It will reach with these prices, of course. So, and you have to pay it upfront. And you need operational cost. You need capital cost. Okay, so your cost is too much. The operational cost is your engineers, your human beings that are working in the organization with you. And the capital cost or expenses, these are the hardware and the infrastructure and the software that I'm using. And one more important thing in the cloud also, there is something concept on the IT infrastructure that when we are buying the switches, routers, or servers, maybe like after 3 years or 5 years, then the service provider is telling you that this model is no more available. Then you need, there is no support for that from us. So there is alternative model for that. So of course we need support from the provider for that. So what we will do is we will put a budget every 5 years to renovate our infrastructure. Also, this is another cost. With the cloud, with Azure cloud, you don't need about that. You just care about your services up and running. What they are changing, what they are paying for license, what they are doing, you don't care about it. So in the long term, you will find it, yes, it's more cheaper than what you are doing right now. Geographic distribution, we'll talk about this. Then Azure is doing a very great job to cover all their data centers all over the world to give you the better service for that. Advanced security technologies also, they are doing a lot of securities, and they have also agreements with big security provider company like Cisco for their firewall, like Firepower, also for with Fortinet, their firewall, FortiGate, and Palo Alto firewall. Then you can rent it also from Azure itself. But built-in mechanism, they have something against denial of service attack, ransomwares, and all this stuff. Service orientation is the core reference model for cloud computing system with Azure. This is approach adopt the concept of services as the main building blocks of application and system development. Service-oriented computing support the development of rapid, low-cost, flexible, and interoperability for and availability for application and systems. So, now talking about geographically with Azure, what they are doing, they keen to cover most of the places all over the world. Why? to provide you the service near to your country. Why to do that? To avoid latency. Then the service will be very fast when we are asking for that. For example, I'm here in UAE in Abu Dhabi, and thanks God that Azure has a data center here in UAE. So what I can do, it's not logic to take the region of US, for example, or take region for Europe. So why I have to go far away? And it's here in the UAE. Another example, let me say that in Saudi Arabia, for example, then it's preferable for them to take the region in the UAE rather than to take it from US or another thing. This is you here avoiding or minimizing latency for that. So we can see that Azure has covered 42 regions, and we will see that the picture for the regions. For any details, you can visit this link for it. So what is the region? It's in each geographical location, a cloud be multiple region as it's a cloud be larger area. For example, here in UAE, it's called one region. But when it comes to USA, because it's a very big country, you might find that Azure divided to 3 or 4 regions for better giving services for the client. But here in UAE, no, it's one region, it's in Dubai, and that's it, because UAE is a small country. What is availability zone? So these concepts, you have to understand it very well. We have a region. This is a region, let's say a country. And inside this region, it should be like having availability zones. So Azure keen to have at least 3 availability zones. What's availability zone? It's data center. They have big data center. They are doing 3 data centers for redundancy because they are putting too much risk. If this is data center is got a disaster recovery, then automatically I'll be having another one. I'll be having also another one. And it's also for other purposes. We will come to it in this course. So here, this is the availability zone that I have. For example, Azure geography, and it has 3 availability zones. So you will find the data center is divided for that. And they are connected to each other with high-speed fiber cables to give you like a very good speed for that. And they also put one building like as a disaster recovery. These are the regions, I took it from Azure website, that they cover. So, when we come to Azure Service Control, we'll talk about resource group. What is resource group? Is a container that holds related resources of Azure solution. So the resources group can include all the resources for the solution, or only those resources that you want to manage as a group. You decide how you want to allocate resources to resource group based on what makes the most sense for your organization. Generally, add resources that share the same life cycle to the same resource group so you can easily deploy, update, and delete them as a group. So when we come to accounting management in the Azure, how the billing will come, an account for charging and billing follows amended payments and their analytics receives invoices and pay them for one or more subscriptions. So, for example, what is a subscription? If I have an organization, and this organization I have so many subsidiaries inside it, but the accountant is one. So I need all this to be under one umbrella. Let's say it will be like a group. And I divided this into subsidiaries. Then all the bills that come to one account, one manager account, he can pay for all these subsidiaries. So each subsidiary will do a subscription with this cloud. Then only the responsible management, the account department, only can manage this easily and I can pay for this company branch 1, company branch 2, company branch 3, 4, etc. So, do we have a network on the cloud? Of course. Cloud, I want you to think about it in the same as infrastructure on the ground or traditional. To make it connectivity for that, you need for what? Here you need for switches. They have a virtual switches. They called it like VNet if you want. You need load balancer. You will be having. You need a VPN gateway. You will be having. On the cloud, yes, on the cloud. Everything on the cloud. Whatever you were working something in traditional, then you will find it in the cloud. So what is VNet? Within the private domain per network. What does this mean? I can create a VNet. I want you to think of VNet as a switch that you divide it into subnets, and you can do the subnets for your server. So a cloud communicates after peering VNets. So if I have multiple VNets, I can create yes, multiple VNets, and I can do something called peering between this VNet if I need to intercommunication between these. A VNet would run within one region and serves only one subscription. Logic. So Azure Load Balancer. What is Load Balancer? Of course, anyone working with the network know exactly what is Load Balancer, but let me tell you the benefits for that with the Azure cloud. Load Balancer, for example, I will give you an extremely good example for that. If you have a website, this is an e-commerce website, and you are selling some products on it, and let's say laptops and mobile phones, whatever. Then there is a mobile phone with $2,000, and you want to do a offer. This offer, what you want to do it is only for 4 hours. So you will make this, instead of $2,000, you will make it is $800. And this offer will be valid for only 4 hours. No one in this world can imagine and predict the number of traffic that the people will come to your website. We cannot do that. Then we need for a load balancer to divide the loads not to come from one source. For example, if I have a server and this server it's installed on the top this e-commerce website, then I have one single exit point or entry point to this website. So imagine if I have millions of people, they are accessing to try to buy this mobile phone within these 4 hours, then definitely I will reach to something called bottleneck. And definitely my website will be not available for this service. So what can I do with that? And only I need this capabilities to be there for only these 4 hours. So here the load balancer will come with something called auto scaling. What is this? For example, I have one server right now. So how many server I need, I don't know. How many bandwidth I need, I don't know. And no one can calculate it for you because this is something intangible. This is something unpredictable. There is no any formula can do it for you. Then I will put a load balancer with auto scaling. With auto scaling, this I will put a threshold. This threshold, for example, if my RAM utilization came to 50% or 60%, and my bandwidth utilization reached to 70%, then it create a new server for me, new virtual server for me. Great. After that, the load balancer will start divide the traffic, one in this server and one for another server. He can use many mechanisms. One of them is called round robin. One here, it will be equal load balancing. Okay. So what if the threshold is still there? The auto scaling will create a third server until the threshold became down. Okay. So imagine that I have at the end, I have 4 servers. Then the load balancer will start dividing the loads of the traffic on these 4 servers. First traffic will be in server number one, second traffic will be server number two, three, four. And after that, one, two, three, four. It will be like this. It will solve my problem, yes. My website will be up and running, yes. The service will be up and running, of course, yes. What about the payment? Because we care about payment. You will pay the usage for this within 4 hours. When this will be deleted? This will be deleted when the threshold is no more met with a pooling time. There is a pooling time with that. So it will start delete the first server. After that, if the threshold is still down, it will delete until it's reach the original server. Of course, the original server will not be deleted because this is the original server that all your business and website is running. So this something that you cannot do it in your traditional infrastructure. Impossible to do it because no any super network engineer can predict for you how much bandwidth utilization you will be required, what the RAM should be for that. Also, it has a VPN gateway. If I have two companies in like two different regions, for example, or two different groups, and then I need to communicate with each other, or if I want to make the hybrid style, this hybrid, like I have my private on a premise, and I have some servers on a cloud, then I can do also VPN gateway, and also it will be encrypted and very secure. It has so many types for that, yes. Also, Azure has something extremely good. It's called CDN, Content Delivery Network. What is CDN? CDN is a distributed network of servers that can efficiently deliver web content to users. How it's done? Azure is stored cached content on each server, or called POP. POP, it's point of presence. So it can give you your content once you required it from the nearest POP to you. Great. So what are the benefits for that? It's of course better performance, very quickly to have your service. Let me give you an example for that. If you have a web application and this application is stored, and you type, for example, www.mahmoud.com, and you reserve this with Azure. Great. So the first thing, it will check with the POP, the point of presence, in its cache. If it's found in less than microseconds, it will reply to you. If it's not, it will check with the origin server for that. Definitely it will be found it. Then the origin server will send it to the edge server or the point of presence. It will cache it and send it to you. All these process will be happen in microseconds. You cannot feel any delay. Why they made it distributed? To have the ability to serve you. Then, how much the caching time it will be there? The caching time will be as much as the TTL you configure, the time to live you configure. And if you did not configure the time to live, by default it will be cached for 7 days. Great. Before going to the storage, let me talk also with the network that we can do something called, when we said that the VNet is something called virtual switches, of course. And from virtual switches, I can connect into many virtual VMs. So the concept of virtualization, it's there, 100%, because all the cloud with Azure is based on virtualization. When you come to the storage, as we know, we have so many types of storage in traditional IT infrastructure, like something called block storage, file storage, and like many other storage. So with Azure also, you have some types of storage. The first type they have something called blob storage. The blob storage is responsible for structured and unstructured data. and especially with unstructured data, that it can store it, and it's very fast. And whenever you are requested for that, then you will be having your data immediately. And this is actually similar to our traditional IT, something called object storage. Great. So what is unstructured data? Unstructured data, the data is not based on column and rows. So like what? Like voice, videos, games. All these are unstructured data. It's very difficult to store them, and you need to store them actually in a distributed manner. Like there is a platform called Hadoop. So there is a distributed manner it can store with that. Whenever you are storing with that, you need your content to be having with it in approximately no time. Whenever I'm requesting this, I have to have it. And this is actually what Azure is best with that. Then we'll be having something called disk storage. This is a hard disk is connected directly to the virtual machine that you have, the VM that you have. If it's full, then I can ask for another disk and I can do a mapping with it. So it supports data disk and operating system disk for read storage and temporary disk for 1 power cycle storage. File storage, whenever I need, and this is something very common, especially with the IT infrastructure. If I have a file server, this server, I have shared so many documents. So why? For my employees to access these file sharing. So definitely I need for storage. This is called file storage. Then the same concept, the file storage is a shared storage in the network that I can do a storage via IP address, like via network. So it will be shared in the network. It's very good in, for storing the files, storing the documents for the organization. It is support SMB and NFS, like for Linux, they can support it, and for, of course, Microsoft, because it's Microsoft Azure, so it will be support. So database, when it's coming to database and what Microsoft Azure can provide for you, it's Azure, of course, SQL database. It's a PaaS infrastructure, platform as a service, that it can give you the middleware and runtime for that. Then all the database management will be ready for you. Just what you need is to do your experimental, you put your tables and all this stuff. Again, we're having something called SQL Managed Instance. With the managed instance, operating system SQL MTDB, ready to host tables, support horizontal scaling, multi zones deployment for high availability. And they have something called Cosmos DB over the regions. If I have now over the region, not in one region, highly available multi-engine database, supports both rational SQL and non-rational SQL DBs. What is relational and non-relational? If you have relational and non-relational database, of course, if you are into the database sector, so then you will understand what I'm saying. So this is especially good for deep inquiries and analytics, and also available application programming interface, integration, and easy migration. Why I need that? Because I need some APIs to integrate it with another website to gather some information from this and to drop it in my SQL database engine. I'm doing researches, I'm doing like many features for that. Then the Azure allow me to use the APIs. For example, if I'm doing researches on the breast cancers that it happened all over the world, and I want to know which ages exactly it's affected and which gender. So what I'm doing is I'm using the APIs for the big hospitals all over the world to gather all the information from their database and dump it into my database. Then The data that I have is a huge data. Then I will start doing my analysis, data analysis, okay, with my tools, with my expertise, maybe with my select all from this field where the disease equal to gender male and the date between this and that. Okay. Then I will start doing my analysis to do a report. This report, I will see like the cancer of breast is affected, for example, men from or male from, let's say, or woman, it's more than woman, sorry, woman from, for example, 18 years to 40 years. Could be like that. It's analysis. So this is be used for that. Now, other SQL engines for they have, yes, they supported another, not only with Microsoft, they PostgreSQL. Those supported then SQL engine to be deployed on Azure managed instances. And of course, it can be like inter-co-work between the Azure and Postgre. Azure provides what database migration service. If you have data in some database, and then they have a migration tool for that with both online and offline migration model. Uh, what what Azure can provide for you is something like more and more, and especially as I explained also, when we came to the security, also they have a lot of solution for the security, how to secure your data, how to secure your traffic. So, and the beauty also, if you can go to just Google search for Azure Cloud free subscription, you will go to the registration form, you put your information, and of course you have to have a valid credit card because they want to test if it's valid. They will not deduct, and they will deduct simple amount and they will return it back to you within 3-4 days. Then it will give you a subscription with limited features for 1 year. Then you can create your server. Then when you can do your experiment like these topics and how to see that. And this is, of course, will be a version 2 of how to do this practically to create the VM, to create some different subnets with the VNT or VNet, and we can let them communicate to each other and much more. I would like, we end for this chapter, so I would like to thank Tidra Virtual Academy for giving this opportunity to be among you, and I hope that the explanation is very clear for you and it's at least put you in a good solid base for Microsoft Azure and what are the services it provides. I hope to see you in another series with explanation, and thank you very much.